Good morning on this Friday, the 27th of May. Hearty welcome, all of the listeners of the regular Nuts and Bolts series. It is amazing to have you all here. And today we have a very special guest, and again, a dear friend of mine, Stuart Wilson from New
Hello.
Perspective. Hello, Stuart from New Perspective Insurance, and he will be sharing a topic which when I heard it the first time, was quite intrigued about and wasn't aware that it even existed in the market. Um, but just a few sentences about Stuart. So I've known him for about a year or just over a year. And what I really appreciate about Stuart is his absolute passion for medical insurance and healthcare. And secondly, also that he's exceptionally independent. So he always looks at what is the best for the end user, is a better term or use right now, and doesn't really go out and sell a specific or isn't affiliated to a specific insurance. And I think that's key. And I've personally experienced it and seen the benefits from it. And he's always been very helpful and accommodating with any of my queries, gone absolutely the extra mile. So if you are not sure what to do with your medical aid, you're not sure if you're on the right plan, or how things work, just speak to Stuart. Seriously, his wealth of knowledge and information is just beyond, and you'll get a very fair and honest answer. You might not always get to hear what you want to, but we need to have that mirror held up for us occasionally. All right. So, for any of the listeners, as Stuart goes through his presentation, you're more than welcome to just put questions that you have or comments in the chat box or in the comment box, and we will address them as we go along. But right now, then, I'm going to hand over to Stuart. And again, thank you, Stuart, for being here. And you just tell me when to move the slides. So
Well, thank you.
welcome.
Thank you for that awesome introduction and the kind words. I've really appreciated it. And thanks for having me.
You're
Right, so we'll just
welcome.
go right into it. So today's presentation, as Kirsten alluded to, I'll be talking about a innovative insurance, a low-cost health insurance product, an alternative to medical aids that a lot of people don't know about, but it's been around for a while. And I feel strongly about the use of it and how much people need to know about it. Okay, so just to start off a little bit about me, just been an insurance professional all my life. It's always been what I've done from early on in my career, working as a claims handler, all the way through to different insurers, to financial planning, to employee benefits, and then finally launching my own practice in 2021 with the aim of offering independent insurance consulting advice on all things insurance, medical aid, and health insurance being one of them, and any other insurance I can assist with. Thanks, Chris. Next slide. Just for disclosure, it's something you have to do, but it's also important to know when you are dealing with advisors in the market, you're just going to make sure that they are accredited and certified. My practice is dual accredited, and what that means is I'm accredited with the Council for Medical Schemes and the Financial Sector Conduct Authority. And while that's important, the two different pillars, the Council Medical Scheme governs medical aid, so your Discovery Health, your Momentum, your Bonitas, and whatnot, and they have the different rules and different regulations and different qualifications, whereas the Financial Sector Conduct Authority oversees and governs all your short-term insurance products, such as car insurance, gap cover, home insurance, and what we'll be talking about now, low-cost health insurance. Thanks, Kirst. A little bit more about what we do, because we're independent and also a one-stop shop. We offer multiple lines of insurance. The idea being we work for the client and not the insurer. I'll go to the market who I deem the best insurers out there. I try and find the best deal that matches your needs after I assess them. And then I come back with a proposal that I think would suit you best. And then I form part of that journey going forward with you, helping you out and kind of being like an insurance PA in your pocket.
I love
And it's,
that.
yeah. And some of the stuff we do, obviously, health insurance, business insurance, employee benefits, international insurance, car and home. Like I say, if it needs to be covered, come to us and we'll help you out. Thanks, Kirst. Right, interesting stat. Oh, more so interesting than it is depressing. But in South Africa, currently the landscape looks like this. 15% of the entire population currently has a medical aid, and 85% does not. Meaning 85% of the entire population has to rely on public facilities or has to pay out of pocket for going to a private healthcare. So, for example, if you've got a child and they're running a fever, if you don't have a medical aid, you're either waiting in a public facility all day just for your baby to be seen, or you're going to have to fork out, well, I think it's about 500 Rand just to see a GP. And then if you get prescribed medication, you're looking at another 500, 600 Rand easily. So it's 1,000 Rand expedition before you even blink. So it's very, very important that there's got to be some kind of medical aid health insurance structure. But currently, it's with the rising cost of medical aid, it's just not feasible. And that number, that 15%, is stalling and actually dwindling, meaning there's not people joining anymore, they're actually leaving. Brings us to the next slide. Another point raised during the coronavirus is exactly that. For individuals, they just can't afford it, simply can't afford a medical aid, but also employers trying to do the duty of care to the employees by offering them some kind of employee benefit. And I've always said, always thought that if you look at a pyramid of benefits, the first level should be health insurance. You know, it fills the duty of care. You look after employees, you keep them healthy. It helps with absenteeism, it helps with staff turnover, and just in general, you want a healthy, happy workforce. Again, though, very hard to do when medical aids are so expensive. So what is the alternative? Next slide. The alternative is an innovative healthcare insurance product. They call it low-cost health insurance or primary care insurance in the market, and it's very important to realize that it's actually not a medical aid. It falls part of the insurance sector. It's an insurance product, and it's designed for, well, it was originally designed for employees who were unable to access medical schemes because of cost, but now the market's open to individuals. Next slide, please, Kirsten. Very, very, very important. The differences between the two, and I don't want to dive too much into the technicalities, but when you look at these two, you got to realize when it comes to medical aids is more comprehensive when it comes to hospital cover, in the sense that they do offer unlimited, obviously to the rates that they agree to, but they're basically saying if you have a medical aid like a Discovery, for example, if you need to go to hospital, you will take care of you for any reason. If it's you need to get your tonsils taken out, if you've had a motorbike injury, whatever it is, the contract or the medical scheme rule says they got to sort you out. Another important fact is medical aids by law is not allowed to refuse cover to anyone, which is quite a big misconception. People think sometimes because of age or their health status. The rules are, if you apply to medical aid, they have to take you on, but they can apply waiting periods and so forth. And another thing, and again, not to get too technical, but there's a prescribed minimum benefits part of the Medical Schemes Act. And what that says is, if you have one of these conditions, diabetes, hypertension, heart attack, etc., a medical scheme has to pay for it in full, the diagnosis, treatment thereof, no matter what plan you're on. The reason I'm telling you this is, and the importance of it is, because of those factors, it drives the cost of medical aids, because they can't mitigate the risk of having, where insurance companies can take on, like who they deem not so sick, not going to claim a lot, and then they can balance it out and then, keep a healthy premium. Medical aids can't really. They got to take on everyone, and then they got to almost manage all this risk and claims and stuff. What the health insurance products did is set out to say, okay, well, we're not governed by those laws because we don't fall in the medical schemes realm. So we'll just design a product like car insurance. We'll put together a product and we'll state exactly what we'll do for you. And it's simple as that. You either do this or you don't. We don't cover that. Simple as that. There's no jargon. There's no misconception. But because of this, they can make the product more expensive if, you're a bit older. They can only cover accidents when it comes to hospital instead of everything like pregnancy and whatnot. They're basically saying, look, you don't have access to primary healthcare in a private sector, like you can't, if you want to go see a GP and whatnot. So we'll design a product to give you that. But to keep the cost low, we'll only cover you in hospital at a private facility if it's an accident. Very important to realize. But if we go to the next slide, you'll see how powerful, well, let me first show the structure and then I'll talk actually how powerful this product really is. So how they're generally designed, and there's a few providers out there in the market, but they all follow the similar structure. You have a day-to-day component and then an emergency and accidental private hospital component. And you get to choose. Do I want just the day-to-day stuff and I'm happy to use public facilities, or just give me both and then you can combine it or choose either or. So it's very flexible, which is nice. Next one. And here's a little breakdown of the benefits. So when it comes to the primary day-to-day or outpatient, that's what they call it, I believe that this is just as powerful or just as rich as any medical aid out there. So medical schemes normally give you a medical savings account and they say, go use it. When it runs out, it runs out. But these guys are saying, we'll cover you for unlimited GP visits. Just go to a GP on our network and it's thousands. And you can go as much as you want. Your baby's sick, take your baby. If you got a headache, go. That 500 Rand, don't even worry. Show your card and you're covered. You can go to a specialist, but that's limited to a certain figure. They normally say, look, there's enough to go once or twice a year, which you generally need. If you're going to a specialist more often and there's something underlying condition, obviously you should look at something else. But they're saying, we'll pay enough for you to go see a specialist at least once or twice a year, you and your family. And then the basics, basic radiology and pathology, so that's your blood tests and x-rays, optometry and dental, that cover the basics, chronic medication, which is very important. There's a list. Generally, they have about 8 chronic conditions, so like diabetes, hypertension, your mainstay serious ones. If you go into this plan and you have that, they'll cover you. You go to any pharmacy on the network and you can go get your medication. They'll cover that. Very important in managing dread disease and so on, whatnot. Again, if you never had this plan, you're going to be waiting at a public facility or you're paying out of pocket, and you can imagine how costly that'll get. So when it comes to, again, the day-to-day component, I believe this is just as rich as Medicaid, and it gives exactly what that 85% of the population don't have, access to good quality private healthcare. On the hospital side, what they're saying is, again, you can go to a private hospital, some limits up to about R1 million. If you're in an accident, we'll sort you out. The ambulance will take you there. Don't worry, you're covered at a nice private facility. If you're going to give birth, however, or you're pregnant, this plan's not designed to cover that, because that will drive up costs ridiculously, and that's exactly what's the problem with medical aids. But again, there's emergency cover for if you have a heart attack. What they'll do is they'll rush you to the nearest private facility, stabilize you, and then send you off to a public facility. So also very important and very good to have, and a great alternative to having nothing if you can't afford a medical scheme. Next one, please. Okay, and I'll put this slide in here because, as with insurance, the terminology sometimes can be a little bit tricky. It's not as straightforward, but you need to understand what the difference between emergency and accident when you take out this policy. Accident, pretty straightforward. It's a bodily injury caused by violence, accidental, and external physical means, meaning severe, like if you get burned, bitten by a dog or a snake, fall off a ladder, car accident, those are accidental. And if that happens, you got like R1 million covered to go to any nice, nice private hospital in good hands. If it's an emergency, which is an event or an unexpected health condition, which if not treated immediately would result in death or serious bodily impairment. But the difference here is a severe asthma attack, a heart attack, a stroke. These aren't external physical means. These are internal conditions. Medical aids have to pay this. Again, hence why the costs are driven through the roof. These guys are saying, we're not going to pay this in full, but we will pay for the ambulance to take you to the nearest private facility, and we will stabilize you and then make sure you go to a public facility. So very important to realize that when it comes to hospital cover. Thank you. Next slide.
Terminology.
Yeah, that's the thing. Insurance is tricky, and you gotta kind of understand exactly what they mean when they say it. Because I've had,
this is my favorite. Sorry.
Yeah, because if you have a lot of some clients, and rightfully so, you would think of heart attacks an accident because it's not something you expect to happen, but not the way they term it. So it's just always good to know. And here's the good, as Kirsten said, this is where
favorite
a lot
slide.
of people every time I show them, they still don't believe me. It's the cost. You can get a plan ranging from 186 Rand per principal member all the way up to about 400 Rand. And if you could only afford the 186 Rand, you still get unlimited GP visits. You still get your acute medication covered. That means you go see a GP, covered for free. The GP says you need antibiotics, go to the pharmacy, they'll cover that for you. Done, sorted. You never have to worry about that for you and your family. There's HIV medication and treatment, your basic bloods and x-rays, EAP, which is, so I put that in a slide. There's some of the plans have a thing called an EAP, which is an employee assistance program. So it's more for the group schemes where it actually gives you free telephonic counseling if you're ever in trauma or stressed. And I thought that was a great benefit that they include for free.
Yeah.
And then also included in that is that accidental hospital cover we spoke about. So for as low as 186 Rand to get all that and access to private healthcare is astonishing. And then obviously as you move up to the medium to the high, if you can pay, if you can afford 400 rand, you're literally going to get all the bells and whistles and have that, have that safety net to say like, me and my family are safe if anything happens. We got good access to private healthcare. So that is pretty much it. It's kind of a lot to take in, and it's a lot to, like, a lot of people don't believe it, but these plans are out there, these products are out there. If you're an employer and you're looking to do something for your staff, to me, this is one of the best solutions out there. If you're an individual and you can't afford a medical aid, this is something you really need to consider. It's the best alternative out there if you cannot afford medical aid.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stuart. As I say, when I heard this the first time round, I was absolutely intrigued, because I know how many people don't have medical aid, or have hospital plans and don't have medical aid, which is still exceptionally high. I think very few people know even that this option exists. And I think that's my first question on why. Why is this not being advertised or promoted more, so that the 85 or 75% of the population who don't know, can actually get on it?
That's a good point, and it still shocks me how much people don't know about it. Obviously, because I'm so deep into it every day, I feel like, it's just one of those things. But every single time I present this, I talk about it on the water cooler at a bar, people can't believe it. And I think what happened originally was, number one, these products have been around for a while, but medical schemes for employers were still fairly affordable, and they kind of took first prize. Then they got too expensive and it fell off, and then employers and brokers used to target employee groups only. So they would go to HR, they would go to CFOs, they would be talking direct to those individuals to offer it as employee benefit. No one took it to market to go take individuals, because it is very low cost. So, obviously for remuneration for a lot of brokers, it's like, well, geez, you have to sign up thousands and thousands of these people to make it worth a while. So I think what happened was that it just never got to market. Why most of these insurers don't go direct to market, I don't understand. I don't know, but generally, like most insurers, use a distribution model of brokers. And again, I think brokers just used to attack employee groups. But it is picking up. I've noticed that, like big names like Nando's, Discount, all those guys are taking these products for their staff. So, they start doing it, people on, all the employees start talking about it. The word starts spreading. But it's such a good point you bring up, and it's actually a mission of mine that I want to start getting this out there, spreading the gospel, as they say, and hopefully getting a lot of people onto these.
Well, that's why you're here, to spread the gospel even more. And I remember when I was in corporate, there was obviously always like, I don't know what you call them, incentive packages or whatever, where, you would get your pension fund and your medical aid, or half of it paid. And that obviously got expensive for companies, so they couldn't do it anymore. So this is such a big perk for companies to start paying on behalf of their employees, and then maintain that retention and all those things, and mental health and well-being that are absolutely critical. And what for me is super on this product is to see the EAP on all three levels.
Yeah,
it's like
I know,
there.
and that's one of the most powerful. Yeah, and that's also funny enough. EAP sometimes forms part of employee benefits as a standalone feature, and I think that these low-cost health insurance providers realized that they could include it in this product as a whole holistic health insurance. Another thing worth noting was when these products also was first released and targeted to employees, the level was, I think there was cutoffs, like if you earned up to 15 grand, then only you could take this product. But that barrier broke because, again, the medical aids got so ridiculously expensive. They literally just said there's people earning 30, 40 grand that can't afford. Because, if you're a principal member with a spouse and 2 children, your medical aid is running into the 4,000 rand, 5,000 rand figure, which is, during tough times, it's just ridiculous. So these guys did open the gates and said, you know what? Anyone can earn it. Anyone can have it.
So you don't have to have a minimum salary to come into this. And I think it's also a very amazing product if you're wanting to look after, people who help us all in our day-to-day job, be that, your housekeeper, or, on the garden service or whatever, and add that as a promotion, because who helps them? So
100%. And I'm glad you
that
said that. Yeah.
because I think that's also um, as an employer, regardless how big it is, you have a responsibility towards your employees. So I think that's absolutely key. So yes, Jade asked a powerful question, which was also one I had written down: is can you do both? Can you do medical aid and the insurance?
First off, hi Jade, and thank you for that's actually a very good question. Yes, you can. Because they're governed completely two different schemes and acts, you could take out a Discovery hospital plan. I keep saying Discovery, Momentum, whatever, just hospital without a medical savings. And then you take out, say, the primary care day-to-day product here, and then, use this for the doctors, and then use that for the serious medical conditions when you go to hospital, which is a perfect world, I would say, is the way to do it. Because I don't know if a lot of people realize this though, but when you're on a medical aid with a medical savings account, it's literally all it is your own contributions that you're paying, or it's a loan basically. So you get a medical savings up front for the year, they give you the money, you pay, your contribution pays 25% towards it to pay it off. So at the end of the day, it's actually your own money just being managed. Whereas this product, again, it's saying it's unlimited. You got it for the year, just go mad. So I always think that's the best hybrid if you take the medical aid and compared to this.
And if I understood you correctly, there's no waiting period.
There's
There's no
actually
waiting period. There is a waiting period.
There's waiting periods on certain things like chronic medication. If you join and you got diabetes, you're gonna have to wait till you can start. I think there's a 3 months general, so you can only start seeing doctors after 3 months. But hospital cover, because it's accidental, you can't add a waiting period to something that's unforeseen, because it's not like you came there expecting to fall off a ladder. It's only for the chronic medication and a 3-month general.
And also the second one I just want to double check on is there's no exclusion. So if I have diabetes, they can't exclude me on this like a medical aid would exclude me? Or would they still exclude me here?
Well, medical aids don't actually exclude anything. They can only put a 12-month pre-existing condition. So if you join with diabetes and I pick it up, they said, okay, for 12 months you can't claim for that. Thereafter, you registered as a chronic illness benefit and you sort it. But they got a list of conditions. Sometimes some of them fall out of that list and they're not going to cover you. These guys are the same. They list, like if you check lists, some guys do 5 or 8 conditions, some do 27, and they're listed. They say, if you got this, we'll sort you out. If you don't have it, if it falls out of it, sorry, it's just not a benefit we'll cover.
Yeah, dear listeners, you can hear this gets a little bit technical and a little bit complicated. And, we don't spend enough time always looking at what we covered for and if it's the best cover until we need it. And then often we are disappointed or shocked with what we are not covered for. We hope it's this, but then it's actually that. And that sometimes gives that whole industry a bad rap. So I would like to really invite you over this weekend to go and pull out that insurance that you have. Look at it and try and understand what it covers, and is it what you expect it to do and all of that? And if not, who, what do you want to add and who do you want to put on this plan? Because the more people we can put on this plan, I think the healthier we can create a country. And the healthier it's for our population, knowing that in our early ages, we're most probably healthier. And then as life goes on, certain things creep in. But really, we've gone a bit over time, but thank you for bearing with us. But Stuart, where can our listeners reach out to you if they really want you to review this or have a deeper dive into this conversation?
So I'll say it, and then can I pop? Is there a message or?
Yes, or I can write it for you.
Write it for me, please. But you can get me on email it's Stuart Stuart at NP, N for November, P for potato, insurance.co.za. Drop me an email or check out my website www.npinsurance.co.za, and I'd love to have a chat about this with you.
Sorry, I'm just writing your email address.
Shane, thank you. I went a little bit quickly.
No, I'm just maybe a little bit slow. And I'm just going to put your phone number on here.
And my phone number, yeah, that'd be cool.
People can reach out to you. if they want to. But thank you so much, Stuart. As I say, I can hear the passion in the topic for you, and I do hope there's more and more people to understand it, but also more and more organizations and leaders and business owners who want to actually do good for their employees and want to support them. This is not such a big amount, and you can help, and it will make a huge contribution to retention and absenteeism and all these things which are extremely costly for us.
Yeah,
So,
spot on.
yes, thank you. We've totally gone over time, but thank you for all the listeners who've bared with us. And it was nice to see some regular names and faces. So, on that note, may you all have a wonderful Friday and a blessed weekend. And we look forward to seeing you next week, Friday, where we're going to be talking about the cost of unhappiness in the workplace. So, thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye.